Welcome, dear listeners, to another powerful episode of AIBiz, where we explore how strategy, innovation, and intelligence come together to build smarter and stronger businesses. I'm your host, Vivek, and today we are talking about something that most entrepreneurs underestimate. It's until it's too late, which is accounting. Yeah. Because here's the truth is, you cannot scale chaos. You can't grow what you don't understand, and you cannot make confident business decisions if you don't know your numbers, right? So, joining me today, please welcome Albert Butler. So, welcome to the show.
Vic, thank you so much for inviting me to this show. I'm extremely excited to share my message, to share the understanding of how accounting is just a beautiful, beautiful topic that brings equilibrium across the board through transactions. So I'm excited. I hope your listeners will gain something that resonates with them while we talk.
Amazing. That's really amazing. And dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'd love to introduce you with Albert. So, Albert is a nationally recognized accounting partner, author, and mentor whose philosophy says it all. Like, accounting is the heartbeat of business and the key to personal finance success. So, with over 25 years of experience guiding organizations and entrepreneurs, he blends technical expertise with timeless values like integrity, discipline, stewardship. And he's also the father of four, youth coach, and servant leader who believes that financial literacy is not just a skill, but it's a full, it's a kind of form of empowerment. Yeah. So, dear listeners, I'll not take much of your time. Albert, welcome to AIBiz, and it's really an honor to have you today.
Awesome, Vic. Yeah, that was a great introduction. I really appreciate the kind words and the way that you articulated that. But it's very, very true. Accounting is not just a skill, it's not just a discipline, but it truly can be a way of life, of connection, one that can help mold and have conversations at the dinner table with family at the same time at the boardroom.
Mm. Amazing. That's really the great part, and that is what I'm also looking forward to learn from you. And I totally believe like a lot of listeners are also waiting for that. So, uh, this one word thing. I mean, it gives you that goosebumps. So, accounting. Uh, you call it as a kind of heartbeat of business, and for the entrepreneurs who think of accounting as a kind of necessary evil, what do you mean by that? I mean, if you can share.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting that you pose the question that way. I constantly talk to individuals, talk to clients, talk to other entrepreneurs about this connection because accounting, this is not a sexy word. Let's just call it for what it is. It's truly not a sexy word, but it's a word that has a lot of beauty built inside of it when you just step back and when you look at what it actually does for the organization and for you. So let me just take on a quick little journey of it, and then we can kind of walk our way through all of this. As an entrepreneur, you have an idea. Either you're going to be the actual inventor of something, or you're going to be the creator of something, or you're going to actually be the innovator of something. So as you have that idea, you want to take it to the world, you want to give it to the world. So I look at the actual entrepreneur as the actual head of the organization. That's where all of the thoughts, the vision, the mission, everything is coming from. But that mission needs support. Can't be done alone. It needs a vibe of thought to flow through. So as that mission is curated, you have your person is going to be over operations, your person is going to be over sales, your person and your person that's going to help deliver that message. And this is where accounting comes in at. Because accounting is not just a heartbeat, but it's also that messenger that tells the story of a business through numbers. And the numbers is where the beauty takes place. Because as I'm the entrepreneur, I'm going to tell my guy that's over production, hey, you know what? I want to make something. I want to build something. And we're going to go build it. But where did that message come from? It had to go down from the head, down to production, through the accounting department. to tell you how much you have to build with. If you don't know how much it costs, how could you possibly do it? Then that metric comes right back up to the accounting department once it gets built and goes to the sales department, and sales is going to go and sell these units. The sales has to measure to give back. It has to come back through the accounting department. Because if you don't know how many units you have to sell, how can you actually go sell it? So in the middle of it all, every transaction, every step, every beat comes back through accounting. And the message has to be delivered there so it can be reported right back up to that
Mm.
entrepreneur to let them know what their numbers look like. And then you can tell your story to the world. Hey, world, this is what we can do. This is what we give. This is our why. And it all comes through the accounting department, that heartbeat that keeps it all going.
Wow. So amazing. I mean, um, and also like how does understanding your numbers actually uh change the way a founder leads day to day? What do you say?
With that type of information, the founder can make those critical decisions on a consistent basis without having realizable and logical data, which comes from the accounting department. You cannot possibly make those decisions in real time. You have to be able to make those decisions so you can keep the business going.
Mhm.
And not only that, you have to be able to tell the world again, like I mentioned before, why we're in business, what we bring to the table, how can we solve the problem that you might have. Because if you can't solve a problem, you have no sales. So it's very, very important that you make sure that you can tell that story on a consistent basis. I tell everybody, accounting tells the past, the present, and the future. It tells the past through its financial statements. It tells the present through its current treasury function to be able to make sure you can have the cash available to be able to keep things going. And it tells the future through its FP&A department, being able to tell and forecast and give analysis of what's going to take place so you can tell the world what the company is able to do.
Exactly. Exactly. So wow. And like that's a great reframe because accounting not as a core but as the dashboard of your business health, right? So like many startups focus on growth, marketing, sales, new clients, but um, overlook the systems that support scale. So why is strong accounting infrastructure so critical before a business start expanding?
So let me say it this way, and I want to give the audience a different look from this perspective.
Uh-huh.
If you need to raise capital,
Mm.
how would you do it?
Yeah.
Is somebody just going to give you money just because you have a pretty happy smile that
Mhm.
you can tell a good joke? No, they want to know what are your numbers are going to look like, because if I'm going to again you give you money and I'm going to invest in you, I have to make sure I'm going to be able to get my return on that. And that's where your accounting department comes in it. That's where your financial statements come in at. That's where those true numbers tell the story of what the business is going to be able to do. Not just what it's going to do, but what it has done in the past. Past performance can be a lever to give you future performance projections. And those future performance projections are the reasons why that lender would be comfortable with lending you that money, or that angel investor will come in and give you what you need to take your startup to the next level. So if you forget about the heartbeat, you're asking for a heart attack.
Yeah. True. Yeah. And like, what will be, I mean, just thinking, I mean, what will be the some common financial blind spots that keep entrepreneurs stuck in the hustle mode instead of building that sustainable growth?
So when I take on new clients, I like to tell folks that I like to bring
Yeah.
individuals in again that have that entrepreneur spirit. They have an idea that they really want to make the take to market. Well, where are we going to start? At least for here, we start to make sure that your own personal situations is dealt with first, because the accounting in it from a personal perspective, all it does is create a habit that you're going to take right into your business as well too. So if you make sure that your personal finances are sound, then we're going to talk about your taxes. Did you do your taxes the right way? Have you been doing it the right way? Because we got to put a policy in place as well too to make sure when the business tax is going to be done as the right way as well too. You got to also think about it. what type of entity structure are you going to have? That entity structure is going to have a legal implication and it's going to have a tax implication as well too. All those things have to be considered to help take you from startup all the way down to saying, hey, one day I want to do an IP and take IPO and take my company public. So that type of cadence is what you really have to do. And having a solid CPA with you to do that is critical to make sure your team is ready to go because you got to have that support if you really want to scale.
Exactly, exactly. And uh and like it's definitely it's such a important insight, I would say. I mean, scale is not about speed, but it's all about the structure. But you have spent decades mentoring leaders across industries, so what separates those um who manage their money from those who lead with it?
You know, I think I'll tell you there's also three ways to run a business. Solid three way. You can either run the business on cash flow, you can run the business off the P&L, or you can run the business off the balance sheet. And when you run off the balance sheet, you're running the business off investment. So in each of those aspects, your accounting has to be sound. But if you run a business off cash flow, that's your day to day. Honestly, you are really just going day by day. I like to call it living check to check. You don't want to live from check to check. You don't want to do that. Then you want to try to graduate up a little bit and be able to run a business off the P&L. At least from that perspective, you are looking at your revenues and you're really trying to make an analysis of what type of customer base I really have is going to be on a consistent basis that I'll be able to scale. Because you want to make sure your numbers are dropping to your bottom line to build up your retained earnings in a way that you can actually make investment and then you'll be able to run the business from the balance sheet. So those entrepreneurs that actually understand the difference between those three actually are able to develop and grow and scale their business. Because if you live on off check to check from a cash flow perspective, what happens when the cash runs out? If you have not made proper investment for your future.
Got it, got it, yeah. So and maybe you say like how can the founders start developing the financial discipline even if they um, don't come from a financial background?
I think that knowing what you don't know is always critical. And I have akin this to um, being able to understand when it's time to be an entrepreneur and knowing when it's time is that you have to have work what I call the five muscles. What are those five muscles? Well, muscle number one is leadership. You have to be able to have an understanding of proper leadership because in leadership, there's always two C's in leadership: communication and courage. Because as soon as you start communicating, someone will challenge you and you will need the courage to stand in your communication. That's number one. Number two, I call it sales. You have to have a decent understanding of how to generate sales because if you can't communicate your message to the market, nobody's going to know where you are and what you can do. So you're not going to be able to have any sales.
Mm.
Number three is operations. Having a solid understanding of how you want to operate is so important because you have to know the ins and outs of costs of the cost structure of getting things done and the need for the people that you need to get it done or the digital systems that you need to have in play to get those things done. And then fourth is IT. IT is actually the blood. It actually keeps the data moving in and out of the organization. And then that one that I'm talking about on a consistent basis, the accounting. Like having a solid level of accounting of understanding those four disciplines with that number five being accounting brings everything together for that entrepreneur that is ready and he has to understanding of those areas. Not a master at them all, but an understanding of them all, and then knowing what you don't know, and then go and get the support that you need in the areas that you don't know, and then that way you can actually scale. Because, like I said in the beginning, you can't do it all by yourself. You have to have a solid team, and you have to have a team that understands their roles and what they bring to the table. And that's what that entrepreneur has to be prepared to do.
True, exactly. So I really love that because leadership through literacy, wow. When you know your numbers, you lead from clarity instead of fear, right? So
That's right.
yeah. And like you have said before that your own approach to money, both in business and life, is deeply rooted in the faith and family. So how have those values shaped your leadership philosophy?
I was truly blessed as a child. My parents really felt it important to take myself and my sisters and pull us up to the table and open up their checkbooks and open up their bank accounts. Let us understand how the money's coming into the household. Let us understand how the budget was being made, and let us understand how they balance their budget on a regular basis. I was blessed by that, and I think that that really served to align me in the space that I'm in today, that I can actually share that with others, because being able to have a balanced budget and live by that budget is it helps avoid the run of impulse buying. It helps avoid the run of worrying about how we're going to make ends meet for the next month, and it helps you be able to scale on a personal level. Not We always talk about scaling for business, but do we ever talk about scaling personally? That's a real message I'd like to try to share with anyone that wants to hear, because scaling personally establishes you to have the ability to scale professionally. Because if you can't scale in your personal life, how can you possibly begin to scale professionally? You have to really have to step back and look in the mirror and say, what am I doing on a monthly basis to make sure I am working to be better than what I was yesterday? That's an extreme mantra that you have to make sure that you can hold on your chest, that I'm constantly striving to be better than what I was yesterday, and can continue to move that envelope. So yes, definitely was blessed to have the experience that my parents instilled in me, while at the same time them giving me the opportunity to develop and grow into the space I'm in today, to share the same
Mm,
message to those that are willing to listen.
amazing. So, like, what lessons have you learned as both father and a mentor that entrepreneurs could apply to managing their teams or finances with integrity?
Powerful question, and I like the last word that you used, integrity.
Yeah.
You know, for me, even when I get ready to hire somebody, um, I really go down the list of trying to understand on their level of integrity. I'm a CPA, I'm an auditor. I also help with business consulting and taxes, and integrity is always on the table.
Mm,
So the lessons that I've learned to make sure that I continue to kind of instill that level of consistency and integrity and discipline are built just in that. I have a framework that I follow.
okay.
It's called Plan, Act, Review, and when I every aspect of what I try to do, I try to make sure I quickly plan,
Mm,
and I don't spend too much time trying to plan, but I quickly plan, and I want to put into action that plan as quickly as possible. Because once I put into action, that action is going to give me two powerful things: one, a success, or a failure. And the reason I say it that way is because it's just that in both cases, I get to learn something.
mm,
And that's where the review stage comes in at, and I get to review the things that I've learned so I can adjust.
yeah.
And in that framework, it allows me to continuously to move and progress, move and progress, move and progress through a process that yields a level of success. Not fast, but through baby steps. Through baby steps. And I think baby steps, once you move along the way and continue moving forward, you'll be amazed at what you can grow over a 1 year period, 5 year period, 10 year period. When you think about, especially when you think in decades.
True. Exactly true. Yeah. I mean, and um, it's so grounding because reminding us that profit without purpose is never sustainable, right?
That's right.
So this is very, very true. Yeah. And you have been intentional about mentoring young professionals through NABA and other organizations. So, what advice would you give to the aspiring leaders or maybe the founders who want to build wealth and legacy, not just the income?
And I'm glad you pivot just
Mhm.
away from income, because money is a tool.
Yes.
Money is just that. It's just a tool. And I tell young professionals, never, ever, ever make a decision based off of money.
Mm,
Always make your decisions based off it aligning with your purpose. And I give a pretty much like a little diagram of a
mm,
of a of a of assessment called the roadmap to success. And in this roadmap to success, I tell our young professionals, I don't want to know what you want to do next year or 5 years, even 10 years.
Mhm.
Tell me what your dreams are 20, 30, depending on their age, 40 years from now.
Yeah.
Write it down in a big circle. Write down all your dreams,
Mhm.
where you see yourself 30 years from today. And I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself achieving all of those things. And when you did, look back at what it took to get there.
Mhm.
Look at the decisions that you made to get there. Now, that roadmap gives you something very powerful. It gives you a present of the ability to say no. No is a very, very powerful word because when you are able to use it, when you're going through the decision making process, you do not make decisions unless it lines up with your overall dreams, goals, purpose, your true why based off that 30-year roadmap. No one can come to you with an opportunity that doesn't line up with what you want to try to do because you know where you're trying to go. And I love doing that because it gives you the sense of I know where I'm going
Mhm.
and I don't have to make a bad decision in this point because I'm grounded in my purpose.
Yep. So amazing. And if you could leave our audience with one principle that defines the financial excellence, then what would it be?
I will tell you that defining financial excellence also defines your personal aspirations and your overall willpower. I have a quote that I use called I can because I will because I can. And that quote is built inside of me to share with everyone because people are always going to challenge you and the people are always going to tell you what you can't do. So much so in this world that we're in right now, there's so much noise going around of distractions along the way. But if you put your mind to something and you really, really want it, when obstacles come in front of you, and they will come, just say I can because I will, and I will because I can. That way you won't have to worry about all the naysayers that are trying to throw you off your purpose. So I would leave. I can because I will. I will because I can.
Amazing. Amazing. Ooh. So lovely. And also if someone wants to connect with you, what would be the great medium to connect?
I'm all over social media. If you just do a search on Instagram or on LinkedIn, it's Albert Butler CPA. As soon as you type it in, it'll pop up. If you put me in Google, Albert Butler CPA, everything about me will come up. I recently wrote a book. The name of the book is Life, Truth, Love, Loss, Success, and Failure. It's on Amazon right now. If you like to read it, it's I'm biased to it because I wrote it, but it's a great book. And everything that I've talked about today
Mm.
is later is later in the message inside the book as well too.
Mm. Exactly. Amazing. So Albert, thank you so much for this enlightening and purpose-filled conversations. And you have reminded us that accounting isn't just uh, more spreadsheets, but it's all about storytelling. Every number tells the truth about how a business thinks, acts, and plans for its future. So, for all the entrepreneurs listening right now, if you want to grow your business, start by understanding its heartbeat because numbers don't lie, they lead. So, I'll put all the links into the details into the show notes for your easy reference. And with this, hope this is your host, Avik, and this is AIBiz where clarity creates confidence and confidence drives growth. So, until next time, stay smart, stay steady, and always follow the money. It will show you the truth. So, thank you so much.